I'm Ebong.
And I'm Sonya.
And I'm Kate.
And today we're dishing with you from Tagolio, which is a pizzeria, trattoria, and enoteca. Yes? My half a semester of Italian, not working. They have more than pizza, but let me start with the pizza, which they have cheese on it, which is so yummy because it is burrata cheese. It's yummy, and it's here too. It's mozzarella with yummy business. When you cut into it, it oozes cheesy softness.
There's not just pizza, and I love the way she describes goodness, but it's not just pizza. We also have the rollatini, which has a mixture of Parmigiano cheese as well as ricotta, and served over their homemade marinara sauce. The second dish here, which is lovely, is a rack of lamb, which is also served with their wonderful fig sauce. And they also have, you're used to eggplant parmesan, but you also have zucchini parmigiano.
I like that idea.
Unbelievable.
But you know what? Come for the food, but also
Grab
a dessert on the patio. These are some of their signature cannolis, which are amazing. You'll have to come and check it all out. Tagolio is located at 549 23rd Street South in Crystal City.
And our guest today is Matthew Kroenig. He is the Assistant Professor of Government at Georgetown University, and you also work at the Pentagon. You've got some very highfalutin kind of title. Tell us what your title is, because I will mess it up.
Yeah, I'm a Special Advisor on Non-Proliferation in the Office of the Secretary of Defense.
Wow.
So what does that mean?
Yeah, well, I'm on leave this year from Georgetown University. I'm not actually teaching. I'll be going back, but this year I'm just working in the Pentagon, providing advice on defense policy and strategy, mostly on nuclear weapons proliferation.
You give good advice because you have it also in your book, Exporting the Bomb. So it's all about nuclear.
Yeah, that's right. So my book came out last year, and every country that has nuclear weapons or a program got help from somewhere. Nuclear weapons are hard to build. The United States is trying really hard to stop Iran from getting nuclear weapons right now, but other countries are actually helping Iran, selling it nuclear technology. And it doesn't China, Pakistan is really bad, actually. So in the book, I try to explain why countries do that. Why would you help another country get a weapon that could destroy you?
Okay. Now this is something you think about when you think about DC, that people are doing these things. They're talking about nuclear non-proliferation. They're writing books. They're
understanding the nuance of
they're working at the Pentagon is basically when people think about DC, but a lot of people on our show have not been these types of people. So, tell us what your daily life is like in DC when you're writing these books or not writing these books.
Yeah, well, so, it depends. When I'm a professor at Georgetown, I spend most of my time teaching or writing books. But this year I'm working at the Pentagon, so I wake up and go to the Pentagon and sit in a cubicle all day and write memos and do briefings and go to meetings.
So would you say you have the typical Washington life?
I guess so, yeah, typical national security.
National security.
No, why was national security interesting to you? Why did you decide to go into this field?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think it started, I was an undergraduate, and I did a study abroad program called Semester at Sea. So it's a study abroad program where you're actually on an old cruise ship. You take classes on the ship and you go from port to port, go all the way around the world. So we went to Cuba, Brazil, South Africa, Kenya, India, Malaysia. And just in the course of my travels, I was 21, it seemed like U.S. foreign policy was really important. And as a citizen of the United States, it seemed like a worthy thing to do with my life, to try to shape U.S. foreign policy that help determine lives of people all around the world.
Well, I remember watching some reality show on MTV where they had actually Semester at Sea. Those people were just getting drunk and hooking up. This is actually a lot different in the sense that you're thinking, you're a lot more thoughtful in what you're trying to accomplish with exporting the bomb, as well as dealing with nuclear proliferation. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would agree. In fact, I was on the Semester at Sea that was featured on MTV. But I wasn't one of the featured people, so you got out of it what you put into it. So some people got booze cruise out of it, but I got
while you're reading and learning cultures from different countries, you're getting balance. Everyone else is getting tanked and sunburned.
I have sort of a silly question,
sure,
which goes back to the previous administration. Nuclear.
Yeah.
Straighten it out for us once and for all, and then we'll go into the meat of it.
Okay. Nuclear is actually correct, and it's not that hard. The president could have sat in front of the mirror and practiced for a few minutes and been able to pronounce it correctly, but never did.
Never did.
But you're also a professor at Georgetown, we said. So if your students say nuclear. Do you count them off for that? Is that like
Instant F,
something you're
instant fail.
teaching?
Well, fortunately, I teach big lecture courses, so it's kind of one-way communication. I get to talk at them, and I don't really have to listen to them too much.
So you don't get so frustrated, but you do tell them to buy the book. So this isn't your first book.
No, it's my second, and I'm working on a couple of other ones now also.
So has the topic of your books always been kind of the same? Like, where do you come up with material for this? Are you stealing secrets from the Pentagon?
It's always national security issues, but no, I take, because often working in the government, you're working on kind of the crisis of the moment. So now everybody's worried about the unrest in North Africa and the Middle East. But a lot of the stuff that makes interesting books isn't, what happened yesterday or what's going to happen tomorrow. It's taking a step back and thinking about kind of bigger picture trends. So one of my new books is going to be on the rise of China over the coming decades and what that means for U.S. national security. What are some of the things the United States can do to try to maintain its position as China rises? So there's nobody in government doing that kind of thinking. They don't have the time to think 10, 20 years out. So those are the kind of things I like to write about.
So in this book, you also address not only the technological piece of it, but you're also talking about the reasons and the root causes to why other countries would want to help people who are not only our enemies, but the enemies of the West as a whole.
Yeah, exactly. So, there's kind of a conventional wisdom that countries would sell nuclear technology to make money. And I argue that that's not really correct, that it's more about strategy, and basically countries try to screw over their enemies is when they do it. So they're most likely to provide this nuclear technology when they feel it's not going to threaten themselves that much, but would be really bad for an enemy.
So i.e. China maybe helping North Korea do this, everyone knows that they're kind of allies in a way, and them screwing over the U.S. For lack of a better term would be advantageous for China in the long run.
Yeah, and so some of the best examples historically, France helped Israel in the 50s and 60s, and they were trying to screw over Egypt. China helped Pakistan to screw over India.
So why does anybody have nuclear weapons? Why can't we just all
That's my question.
get rid of
Why
them?
should
I
we
mean, I know
eradicate all
that's
of them?
not realistic, but
No.
why can't we as a superpower say, we're getting rid of ours, so should you?
Yeah, well, there
Because we would never do that.
Yeah, well, there's some movements in that direction. As you know, the president announced in the Prague speech in April of last year that he'd like to aim for a world without nuclear weapons. So there's some discussion in that way. But the world is a dangerous place, and we think that our military, including our nuclear weapons, help to protect the United States and provide for U.S. national security. So I think as long as we live in a dangerous world, it's probably prudent to hang on to them for now.
So China's the one we need to look out for, not Iran?
No, Iran's nuclear program's a huge problem. China, North Korea. So I'm not going out of business anytime soon. There's a lot to worry about.
Well, these are fascinating topics.
shelter.
Any chance we can sit in on one of those Georgetown lectures next year when you're back in the classroom?
I'd love to have you. That would be great.
Sounds
It's a little
fantastic.
Indiana Jones-ish too, because
Thank
where
you.
were these professors when I was in school? Come on.
Thank you so much for being with us. We have learned a ton. We hope you have too. As always, you can follow us on Twitter, be our fan on Facebook, and come right back here next time right here on the District Dish.